Welcome. Greetings from my living room. I am doing the show from my living room this evening because my son took my fucking chair because he broke his fucking chair. And playing video games is more important than me sitting in the horror room doing a show, apparently. So I'm in my living room and it's going to be weird because, hey, at least, there's some horror posters up in here. Yeah, look at that. All the way across. Let's go. But so I'll be coming to you live from where I watch movies. And it's gonna be weird because I gotta hold the Chromebook. By the way, check that out. You see that? Let's go. Uh because I have to hold the Chromebook up because I have nothing to set it on. This is what happens when you have kids. But Seth and I weren't sure if we were going to do a show or not, so we decided to do rank all the actors that played Jason. And there is one caveat: Dick Warlock did wear the costume in the fifth movie at one point, and of course, Ken Kersinger, who did play Jason later on, was technically in the Jason Takes Manhattan costume. But we're gonna rank the 10 people who are known for playing Jason Voorhees, and play along, hang out, tell us how much we suck and how wrong we are at this list. So this list is a combined list between Seth and I. So our lists aren't very different, except for at the top four. I prefer one over his one. So anyway, without further to do, here's Seth. I'll be looking down a lot tonight because I have to hold this. I'm literally holding this fucking thing. So
That's fine.
Yeah.
So
And I'm wearing a Halloween shirt instead of a Friday 13th shirt.
yeah,
Today's been garbage.
you're letting your boy run the show, huh?
Well, my son?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. As long as I have a place to do it and to sit down and do it. I don't have much of a background, as you can see. It's a blank wall. My lamp is right over here. Beautiful lamp. Not really. And then, I do, at least, like I said, I have some horror posters. And there's some greats too. I mean, Jaws, two John Carpenters, Pet Cemetery, and all the way down on the end, you can't see it, but it's Prince of Darkness. And then
Awesome.
over there, you got Dracula, Son of Frankenstein and the Black Cat. So right above that TV there. So I represent in the living room, not just in the horror room. Over
Yeah,
just for fun, my comic stuff.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Good. What were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, well, I'm in my living room too, and I'm not allowed to have posters, but I do have that one that you guys all pitched in for, and you had the guys from American Werewolf of London sign that American Werewolf of
Well,
London
that
poster.
one has sentimental meaning.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's a must.
yeah. So it's framed, it's hanging on the wall,
Good.
and it says "To Seth, an asshole."
Oh wait, is that still in there? I don't know if I used to have that audio file. They changed this so much, so I don't know. Oh, guess what, Seth?
An asshole.
That's you.
Yep.
If you could describe Seth in one word, what would
An
it be?
Asshole. An asshole.
Okay.
An asshole.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna rank the Jasons, and I threw out the caveat that we're not going to be having Dick Warlock played Jason in that one nightmare scene in part 5 where he was trying to not make somebody laugh. He's like making somebody laugh. I can't remember who. You know what I'm talking about, right? When Tommy's looking out the window down, that's Dick Warlock, apparently. So we won't be having any Dick in this one. But got some comments from Sean. I put my the computer over here. It says Warrington Gillette is the only one I dislike, but for this purpose, he is last. King Kersinger, then CJ, then Kane Hitty, Kane Hodder, then Richard Brooker. Um, I've met a few of these guys, and I'll mention that when I werewolf horror. When we get to each one, I've met a few of these guys, but overall, I felt like this was not a hard list to rank. What do you think?
It was easy for me to do.
Yeah.
The one that came in at last, I didn't really want to put him on the list because but I did anyway.
I mean, technically, he did play Jason, and let's just go and start there with number 10. It's Ari Lehman who played the first Jason, and he calls himself the first Jason, and I mean, this is about as much as you get from him.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. We won't have any other kid Jasons because they did change them a couple times in Part 8 and Freddy versus Jason. This is the only kid Jason we're going to have on here. It's Ari, and I do, with respect, think he does belong on here just because he was the first. Plus, he rounds it out at 10, which is nice. But there's not much here, right?
No, I mean the kid that played young Jason and Jason Takes Manhattan had more screen time.
I think you're right, actually. And maybe even wasn't there one Freddy versus Jason? I think there was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they show him getting bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, showing some respect to Ari Lehman, who apparently is an awesome guy. He's in a couple of indie horror films like The Barn and The Barn Part 2 as Dr. Rock. Good guy, but and it's not his fault that I mean we weren't supposed to ever see Jason, technically.
Yeah.
So
Well, he wasn't supposed to be the character that he is now, but yeah.
right. Jason was like Victor Miller said in Crystal Lake Memories. Jason was dead, so they didn't know what to do. And Tom Savini said the same thing. They didn't know what to do going into Part 2. So
yeah, but it's like just like from my perspective, what I was just saying, like is like the part was so small in the first one. It was like 2 seconds, and so like I was like, should I even bother putting that on the list? But you're right, it makes 10. So
yeah, well, yeah.
And show respect, yeah, of course.
Show respect for Ari. And coming in at number 9 is Ken Kersinger from Freddy vs. Jason. Of course, he was in the full movie. He was so stiff. And he's got one of my least favorite costumes also. We can comment on the costume design as well, but that's not why he comes in at 9. He just lumbered around in this movie. I wasn't a fan, and I'm not a big fan of Freddy vs. Jason anyway, but what are your insights here?
So, yeah, I think this is the same spot on my list where I had him. And I think he's like a victim of circumstance, like I think he could have potentially been a really good Jason. It's just the direction that he was given in with the script for Freddy vs. Jason. Just the way they portrayed him was just. I say this a lot, but with Freddy vs. Jason, I feel like the Freddy side they nailed pretty good. The Jason side was terrible. So yeah, I don't blame him. I think Kersinger could have been a really good Jason if he had a different director and different script or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's only in, as far as I know, one scene in Jason Takes Manhattan, and it's I think the scene with the cop car or something like that near the end of the movie. And he's better in that one scene. Oh, and he plays like a cook.
Yeah, he was a cook that gets thrown.
Yeah, but he's better there than he was in this. And again, you're right. Nothing against him at all. Yeah, Ronnie Yu as a director, I'm guessing some of it had to do with. Well, I think he said that they told him he was going to be like Frankenstein's monster a little bit.
Yeah,
walk like that. So
yeah, pretty much. And like Ronnie Yu had like no real like knowledge or love for the Friday the 13th films. You know what I mean? Like he just
yeah.
Yeah,
I have no problem with this, and his mask is one of my least favorites. It looks like a croc.
Yeah.
You know, Coming in at number 8, and we did split them up. Warrington Gillette, Friday the 13th Part 2. Couldn't find a clear enough picture of his face. The makeup looks good.
Mhm.
He's got a lot of hair. And from talking, so I've met Warrington Gillette. I've met Steve Dash, and there is a clear hatred that Warrington Gillette has for Steve Dash, and Steve Dash seems to not like Warrington Gillette. And it's funny because Steve Dash, I asked him, I was like, how much of that movie is he actually in? He's like, he's the one who jumped through the window. That's it. That's all he was. I was like, really? Then you got other cast members saying that Warrington was their Jason. So I don't know. When I talked to Warrington Gillette, he was too busy oogling 20-year-old girls, and this guy's in his 60s at the horror convention to even pay attention to me, who paid for an autograph, to even answer my questions. So he falls even lower on my list because he's kind of a prick. So yeah, fuck Warrington Gillette. And Steve Dash was nothing but a great guy, and we'll get to Steve Dash shortly. But as far as I'm concerned, this is all he did was jump through the window, because you can't tell, except for Steve Dash talks about his thumb and that black mark on his thumb, and you can see that black mark on his thumb a couple times in the movie. So
Yeah.
oh, and he's definitely the one that got the machete, Steve Dash, to the shoulder, because there's pictures of him without the mask on. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I like this scene. So
yeah.
and Friday 13th Part 2 is my third favorite film in the franchise. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, and really, I can't. I'll just let's move on. I don't really have anything kind to say about Warrington Gillette. My son really wanted to meet him, and he was a dick to him because he was too busy checking out 20-year-old girls and talking about how much he wanted to have sex with them in front of my 7 or 8-year-old son at the time. So he can go fuck himself. Number 7 is Steve Dash, and that is Steve Dash. The because I when I met Steve Dash the year before I met Warrington Gillette, and he was like very interactive with my son. He didn't seem to care about me. He let Reynolds, my son, hold his machete and pick the
Mhm.
picture that he wanted. He signed multiple autographs for us, paid for one. He signed my Camp Crystal Lake Memories book, and he was very engaging. And I asked him straight up. He's like, "Don't you want to ask me anything about the movie?" And I'm like, "Yeah." How much of it were you in? He's like, I was in Jason except for the window jump. I'm like, really? Everything else was that? So Gillette only did that one thing. He's like, that was it. It was just it. They wanted his face on there, and he had all these different pictures all the iconic shots of Jason from this movie where he's holding the pickaxe. This one, and of course that great part where he is in the room with Jenny and Paul, where she's just
Yeah,
someone in this fucking room. That's all him, according to Steve Dash. And Steve Dash is gone now, unfortunately. Rest in peace. But
yeah,
Steve Dash was a lovely guy. And the best part about Steve Dash, and this is why I love the guy, is because we went back to see. We met Jenny and Paul of Amy Steele and whatever the guy's name is. Um, and we were waiting in line, and Steve Dash grabbed Reynolds. He's like, "Get over here, Reynolds," and gave him a bear hug. I'm like, "That's awesome." He remembered him a year later. You know,
that is cool.
like, he even called him Reynolds. He's like, let me get a picture with you again," and he took a picture with him. He remembered him, and that's amazing. That's Steve Dash. Definitely for me as a person is a way better person than Warrington Gillette. And his Jason was okay. The point I was going to make, and I wanted to see what you think, is they didn't know what they were doing with Jason at this point. So it's hard to put him any higher than this, because by the time you get to, Kane Hodder and CJ Graham and all them, we know what Jason's like at this point. This is like, we don't know what's going on with Jason. So this is like stepping stones for him.
Well, I think it's fascinating because of the evolution of the character.
Yeah.
In this film, he got knocked down a couple times.
Yeah.
He wasn't perfect, and yeah, and then just kind of like, I mean, you could look at it as evolution of the character from 2 to 3 to 4, where the more he kills, the more confident he gets in his body language. Um, yeah, but again, Friday 13th Part 2 is my third favorite film in the franchise. So a lot of love for this one. The bag head doesn't
Yeah.
really bother me. I don't like
No.
that. I don't like the look of Jason's actual face in this one so much, but I think the sack over the head is actually pretty cool. So yeah.
You know what's kind of funny about the makeup? You mentioned the makeup is it looks a lot like Warrington in general. I mean, that's what he looks like for the most part. It's like the makeup doesn't look bad, but it's almost all Warrington.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, it's terrible to say, but I mean, even CT just said the same thing. Warrington's a douche and has a big head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like part 2 quite a bit, and for years the Baghead Jason shit bothered me because we get that iconic hockey mask in part 3, and it's like from there on we get that mask, and that mask is, I mean, it's just a kick-ass mask. You know what I mean? No matter which version it is, except for the Freddy versus Jason one. I will, I will say that one looks like actually that one and one of them in Jason X. But yeah, I do. And part 2, like it seems to be like really growing on me over the years a lot more too, and just in general. I really like part 2 more and more every time I watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, part 2 is like the real start of the franchise for me.
Yeah.
Because I have some nostalgic like love for the first one in a certain way, but like uh, part 1 is not a film that really grabs me. I feel like I've said this before. Writer Ron Kurtz and director Steve Miner did
Mhm.
what Victor and Sean did and did it better. I think it's a better horror film with better characters.
Yeah. Would it be better if I turn this off? Ooh, now it's mood lighting. Yeah, I agree. And then Steve Miner went on to direct the next one, and it wasn't as good, in my opinion. I know that a lot of people love part 3. So coming in at number 7 was Steve Dash, and coming in at number 6 is Tom Morga, who played Roy Burns, of course, but he did play Jason in the Nightmare sequence as well. So technically, he played Jason. And of course, like we said, Dick Warlock does play him for a brief minute in a dream sequence as well, where Tommy is looking out the window down at Jason standing up looking at him. So
Yeah, I mean, he's a dude playing another dude disguised as a dude.
exactly. I mean, the thing with Tom Morga is like he's not. First of all, when he's playing Jason in the nightmare sequence, he doesn't really do much, you know, except
Mhm.
for the very beginning of the movie. So you don't really get a feel for him playing Jason. So he's like you said, he's playing Jason. But he's Roy playing Jason. So it's like, and he does a pretty decent job. I mean, who could tell that wasn't Jason except for the blue marks, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like he had a jumpsuit in this one, right? Like
Yeah,
or coveralls or whatever.
like
So
Michael Myers.
yeah, but I mean, I liked him in this, and
Yeah,
especially with knowing that it's Roy Burns, kind of using the Jason legend to get his revenge on all the people who
I
did
think that's
not.
a great plot point, by the way.
Yeah, who he gets revenge on all the kids who did not have anything to do with his son's death. But yeah, I have a love for Part 5. I think it's certainly an underrated film in the franchise.
Yeah, it's generally around 4 or 5 on my list. And I do like, I have a lot of respect for part 5. It's silly, it's ridiculous, it's got some ridiculous characters, and that's one of the charms about it. And
Mm.
Tom Morgan did a good job. All right. So are you ready to piss some people off?
Yes, yes, I
All
am.
right. Coming in at number 5 is the fan favorite Kane Hodder. And the theory I think that we have is Kane Hodder played Jason in the most movies. He did. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
Kane Hodder. By the way, that's my least favorite mask right there.
Yeah.
That one's ugly. But he started off in the New Blood Part 7. He had one of the best designs for Jason, and he did bring a lot to the character. But and people give him a lot of credit for bringing things to Jason, like the turn and the heavy breathing and stuff that weren't there before. I don't think that's 100% true, because
No.
in Part 6, C.J. Graham did a lot of the heavy breathing and the it's almost like the Batman turn, really, because they're wearing that cowl over their neck and they have to kind of turn with their whole body.
Mm-hmm.
We see Batman do it, Michael Keaton, of course, doing it. But I'm not huge on Kane as Jason. I'm glad he got to do it as much, but like he's not at all my favorite. I know you're the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying for years that uh, I think. Okay, I will say this: I like Kane Hodder a lot. Like, I
Yeah,
love his passion for the character, for the franchise, for the fans. He seems like a genuinely good
he
dude.
is. I've met him too.
Yeah, I
He's
haven't
actually pretty
heard
amazing.
anyone say anything bad about an experience meeting him. But he was also in 3 of the 4 worst
He was.
films in the franchise. And while he had a great look for Part 7, which I love Part 7, I didn't like his look in Jason Takes Manhattan. I did not like his look at all in Jason Goes to Hell. And I didn't like his look in Jason X. So, like I like Kane as a man, but
You got a crush on him or what?
no, I just think he
I'm joking. I
genuinely
know
he just seems like a really good dude,
he is.
But
I
like
mean,
so like I don't want to like shit on him.
no, it's not about shitting on him. It's a lot of it does
Yeah,
have to do with the movies. And like Ken Kersinger may have been a better Jason in a different movie. You know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely.
And it's not saying Kane is a bad Jason either. He's not. He's good as Jason. He just happens to be in. Okay, I like this one. First of all, I like Jason Takes Manhattan. I know you don't, and there are a lot of people who do like this. This is my son's favorite, but I mean, Jason Goes to Hell is a shit fest. It pretty much is. I have fun with it, but it's one of the most hated, followed by Jason X. So those are two of the most hated Friday the 13th movies. And objectively speaking, going back to Jason Takes Manhattan, it is bad. It's not great. It's not very good. It's a bad story. And Kane, I mean, first of all, going back to the way he looks, I actually like the way he looks until the mask comes off. What the fuck were they thinking with that face? But
Yeah,
I have a lot of fun with this one, but I know it's like one of those so bad it's good for me type movies. And Kane does what he can, and he has a blast playing Jason, and he is great with the fans. He choked my son out, which was what he does, and I thought that was great. And he actually, without having them pay, my brother-in-law and his daughter got to take a picture with Kane and got an autograph. So that's awesome. He's good with the fans. And that's part of why I think he's a fan favorite. Partially has to do with probably the way he looked in this one, Part 7. And not to mention when he planted that axe firmly in Melissa's skull and threw her across the room. So, yeah, that's where he won me over
love that
anyway.
scene. Yeah,
She deserved it, even though she's one of my favorites. But yeah, nothing against Kane Hodder. We just happen to like the next 4 better, more than Kane. And Kane's great. He's fantastic and great with the fans. But, what are you gonna
yeah,
do? Put Kane. And one last thing I'll say from my part is I feel bad that he did not get to play Jason and Freddy versus Jason. But at the same time, I'm happy he didn't because I hate that movie. So every Jason is a lovely dude minus Warrington. Yeah, so far all the ones I've met, and everyone else we'll get to everyone else. I'll talk about them. But yeah, everyone I've heard and I've met has been awesome. Warrington's a piece of shit. So, all right, there's us coming in at number 4. Uh, and this is tough because we both had him ranked number 3, but because you had somebody else ranked number 2, I had to move him down. It's Derek Mears, who was fucking born to play Jason, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yep.
And of course, there's a lot of people who don't like the remake, but you can't deny this hulking fucking guy as Jason. He's not just a stuntman; he's a fucking actor, and he was really good behind both masks. And I have pictures of him in both masks because he looks awesome.
Hmm. Absolutely love his performance as Jason. Like, he reminds me of uh, the 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 other ones before him. Uh,
Yeah,
Particularly, I feel like he's definitely a good mix of like Ted White, Richard Brooker, and CJ. Um,
yeah, 100%. And he was a big fan coming in, so
hmm.
he knew how Jason was to play Jason.
Hmm.
He tells the story about he grew up with alopecia, and of course Jason was kind of the same way. So he always loved the character, and you could see that he brought that. He brought that in the way he played the character, the intensity he brought to the character. He knows Jason inside and out. If they ever make another Friday the 13th, look no further. This is the man right here. Derek Mears
Yeah,
should be Jason.
yeah. And I was also glad that they let him run, uh,
Yeah,
which
I
they
was too.
haven't done since part 4.
Well, technically, he's still alive in this movie and the first 4.
Yeah,
Zombie Jason shouldn't be running anywhere. No zombie should be running. And even though I love Dawn of the Dead '04 very much so it's one of my favorite zombie movies. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite scenes in this movie though is when he's that the one guy's trying to get back in from the shed, and he just takes the launch, puts it or the axe and throws it overhand over his head, just gets him right in the back. It's like,
yeah,
dude, this is Jason. He's got to be one of the, other than Ted White, he might be the most brutal Jason.
yeah. Absolutely,
Yeah,
100% agree with that.
and I'm 100% here for it. So Derek Mears comes in at number 3. We're plowing through this list pretty fast. But I had the next one at number 4. You had him at number 2, so he's number 3. Richard Brooker, the first one to pass away, unfortunately. So I never got to meet him. But every story I've heard, he was a great guy, and he was the first like real look at what Jason was going to become. So everything beyond him is because of him. He was the
Precisely.
template. Yeah.
Hmm. Exactly. He shaped what the Jason character was, and I like his performance in it. Um, I don't know, Brooker and White, they're just my two favorites. So
The fun part is seeing behind the scenes images of him in the pool cowl smoking a pipe. Have you
yeah,
seen those?
yeah,
I love that. I should have brought one of those in. But yeah, I mean, apparently they called him very gentle. He's not the only one either, because apparently CJ Graham was very gentle on set as well.
hmm,
But he was a gentle giant, and I think Steve Miner, somebody told him, think of Jason as Jaws, but on land, which
hmm,
is perfect.
yep.
And there's some great iconic scenes with Brooker in the movie that you just love to go back to, like when he gets hung, when he gets the axe,
Oh
and that
yeah,
famous axe mark. Yeah, and then of course later when she's having her Chris, I can't stand her,
yeah,
but when she's having a little nightmare and you see Jason up in the house in Higgins Haven looking
yeah,
down at her, he's got the blood coming down his face. He looks like he's smiling. He's like, "Hey, I'm
yeah,
coming," you
yeah.
know. He was good, good stuff. And I just don't like that's another problem for me is I don't like 3 almost at all. Like part 3 is one of my least favorite movies and of the franchise.
Is it just because of Chris, or is it because of like how much fans really kind of hold this one up?
No, it's because of the movie. It's I don't like the movie almost at all. It's the movie itself. Yeah, I don't like Chris. She's my least favorite of the final girls, air quotes. But it's not just that. They kill off Crazy Ralph. in the second movie, and they decide to plant some guy with an eyeball, and it's like, oh, here's you like Crazy Ralph, here's another one. This guy's crazy too. He's got an eyeball. I don't care for the beginning of the movie and with the guy with the rabbits and taking a shit without wiping his ass.
Harold.
Harold, yeah, I know you really don't like Harold. You crucify him about not washing his hands all the time.
Yeah, Harold
But
and the hippie guy.
I don't like the characters in this one. The Shelley's like the one character I like because he's kind of an idiot, and also I've met him and he's really nice too, Larry Zerner. But I don't know. I don't like Rick. He's annoying as fuck. The one that's pregnant, and I just don't like the characters, and that's one of the problems. In part two, you really kind of like Paul and Jenny, and the goofy guy that tells that wears the mask and acts like Jason. I can't remember, Ted maybe. I think it is Ted, isn't it? Ned, yeah, whatever. There's more there with the characters than there are in this one, and just Chris is such a little bitch. She whines so much, and I just don't like her. Like there's a lot in this movie that I do like because a lot of the kills are awesome. Like the guy doing the walking on his hands, that kill's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love Rick getting his head squished. Like, there's very satisfying.
Yeah.
I also don't like the biker gang. It's like, fuck these guys. Who do they think they are? Like it's just little things here and there that make it to where I don't like it all that much. So I don't hate it. It's near the bottom of my list. And the overuse, the whole 3D thing, they shouldn't have done that. I think that kind of takes away in some points in the movie.
That does. For starters, I really dig part 3.
I know you do.
But like the 3D stuff, like it just makes it look really corny. I wish they really thought that through.
Well, also Jason went from dark clothes to pastels.
Yeah. But I like the movie. I've said before, I like the score for the movie. I'm not talking about the disco theme is okay, but
I love it.
I'm talking about the ordinary score in the movie. I think is really great, from Harry Manfredini, and
he's the man.
I dig the characters a little bit. Like, they're not great characters, and like you said, the characters in part 2 were definitely a lot more likable.
Same with part 4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And part 1, really.
I don't know about part 1, but
well, so no, Ned was the guy in part 1, wasn't he? The guy with the Dolphins jersey and the Indian headdress, Native American headdress.
I thought
what was his name?
Ted.
There's too many Ned and Teds in this fucking franchise.
Yeah.
Because you got Teddy Bear in part 4.
Yep.
I don't know. Part 1 is also starting to lose favor with me. It's kind of a drag to get through at this point. When you want to watch Friday the 13th, you don't grab the first movie because you want to watch Jason. You grab 4, you grab 5, you grab 6, you grab 7. One of those, I think, or 2.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for a question?
Not a bad question, Bert.
So I wanted to do it before we did number 1 and 2 because you don't know which one I put at 1 and which one I put at 2. I do. So the question is pretty basic.
Hold on. Someone answered it for us.
Uh-oh.
Ned is in the original. Ted is in part 2. So I was wrong. You were
okay.
Right.
So I was right. And Ted's in part 4 then. There's a whole line. The Ted lineage in Friday the 13th is wild. Ted, Ned. So if we ever see another Friday the 13th, we need a Ted or a Ned or twins, Ted and Ned, because they're twins in part 4. How about that? Right? Am I onto something?
Yeah. And we need a Nettie Bear.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, Amanda. So the question is, what is your favorite look for Jason? Out of all of these movies, you got Ari from part 1, you got CJ Graham, you got Ted White, who goes through a few changes because his mask gets more scuffed up throughout the movie, which is awesome. One of the best parts about part 4, in my opinion, honestly, is that. I mean, among other things. But that's really cool that you can see the battle damage happen almost in real time in that movie. And then, yeah, all of them. Any Jason look, which one's your favorite? And mine forever will probably be CJ Graham, but you gotta love the part 7 look in A New Blood with Kane Hodder. What about you, Seth? What's your favorite?
I'm torn, so I'm gonna name two. Okay.
Yep.
Well, actually, I don't have to. I'll explain one of them when we get to that person. It's one of the people we haven't gotten to yet. But the other one is definitely from New Blood. Uh, I love that look. Like that character design is incredible.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, John Carl Beekler, who's from my neck of the woods, even though he's passed as well, he said he wanted to get every single bit of punishment Jason took from all the other movies into that suit. So being underwater, you can see his spine. You start seeing his bony fingers. The mask has the big chunk out of it from where the boat propeller hit it. He's got the chain. He's got the slash. He's dirty as fuck. He looks amazing. That's the best makeup job. Plus, underneath the mask, he's so ugly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like you see part of his ribs, right?
yeah, that's that too. Yeah, he's just the coolest looking Jason. I mean, they're all Jason. It's the same Jason technically, but he's the coolest looking out of all of them. And again, I think that is part of why Kane is so beloved. To be honest, one of my favorite characters ever stood up.
No.
Well, for me, in memory, aside from Jason and Pamela, as the one that makes the Halloween special, is I care about the other characters, not just Michael. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's one of the things I like about Halloween and Elm Street. It's because you get to know the characters more. It's not all about Freddy and Michael Myers. And in some of these movies, you do get to know the cast well. Like even Part 7, you get to know Tina pretty well and Dr. Cruz. They have more development than what some of the characters in Part 3, and that's one of my points. Even Part 5. I mean, every character had kind of an archetype. You had the sex-starved teenagers. You had the psychopath who just chops people up for offering them a fucking chocolate bar. Just saying. So I don't know. Huh?
Well, if that's the way you feel.
There we go. So anyway, moving on. Number 2, Seth, are you ready? I don't think you're gonna like this. Is CJ Graham.
Oh wow!
I love CJ. I
thought,
love CJ Graham, but you thought I was gonna put it at Ted White, right?
yeah. Well, I thought you were gonna, be like, well, I'm the one making the list, so.
Yeah, no, I don't do that shit. I don't think I've ever done that. You can trust me. I think you have Ted White at number 1. I had CJ at number 1, and you
So
had
how'd
CJ.
how'd you decide on CJ at number 2? I mean, I'm
Okay,
fine
that's
with
what I
it.
was getting to. Yeah, so you know how I add our scores up. So you had Ted White at 1. I had Ted White at 2. That's a 3, right?
Mhm.
You had CJ at 4. I had CJ at 1. That's 5. And then Brooker and Mears both were 6.
Mm.
Yeah, and so the reason that Brooker won over Mears was because we both had Mears at 3. You had Brooker at 2, so he had one higher score. So I was like, I'll make him number 3. Yeah,
Okay, I got you. I understand.
yeah. So yeah, I mean Ted White is awesome. We'll get to Ted White in a minute, but you got to admit CJ Graham's pretty awesome as Jason. He
Oh,
and
yeah.
he came in after they had already cast Jason, so he was
Mhm.
a recast.
Yeah. No, I think he's great in Jason Lives, and Jason Lives being my second favorite Friday the 13th movie. Um, I love him as Jason. So yeah, I think he makes a good Jason. The first zombie Jason.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he still does enough to carry on the character that came before him.
Yeah, there's CJ is also one that I've met, and talk about he let Reynolds hang out with him while he signed autographs at the table. I don't know if they just liked Reynolds, if he's just a good guy, or these guys were that great of people. But CJ really made a big impression on me that day. He let my son hang out with him. I got pictures of them hanging out, high-fiving each other. CJ picked him up. CJ's a big dude. He's like 6'4", and picked him up over his head. And Reynolds just thought that was the coolest thing. And that didn't really have any bearing on how I feel about CJ as Jason. A lot of it has to do with, so if for the casual observer, CJ Graham in Friday the 13th Part 6, there's one scene that he's not in, and it's when the paintball scene. That's not CJ Graham. That's the other guy who I can't remember his name, and obviously we kept him off the list. But everything he does, from coming out of the grave, his scene coming out of the grave, the way he moves after he gets out of the grave, the way he's very fucking menacing. He looks amazing, in my opinion, in coming out of the grave. And even though you can't really see him because he's shrouded in darkness, but he does that fucking move where he just like turns on a dime to kill that guy and just punches right through his chest. And you know he's not fucking around as Jason. This is a superpowered Jason, which I like, and I don't think Jason was going to kill any kids, honestly, even though he burst through that door like nobody's business. But I don't know. I like the way CJ moves. I think his costume, his mask. I love that mask. That's one of my favorite masks. If not for the Part 7 mask, this would be my favorite mask.
Yeah.
But the way he moves as Jason, and he feels more like Ted White's Jason in some ways, where Ted White's Jason is a hunter, and CJ felt like he's a hunter, unlike Kane Hodder was not like a hunter, more like Derek Mears was. So I think when we talk about Derek Mears, I feel like Derek Mears is an amalgamation of Ted White, CJ, and Richard Brooker. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I like about CJ's Jason. I feel like he's an extension of the first two, Ted White, not the first two, but Ted White and Richard Brooker, where I think Kane lost that a little bit by the time he took over as Jason. So I got a lot of love for CJ. Plus, apparently he was the actors, and I love these stories. If you're Friday the 13th fan, you've never seen Crystal Lake Memories, you're out of your mind. It's 7 hours, but it's worth every second. But like Judy, or not Judy, what's her name? Megan. I can't think of her name. Anyway, Megan. I think she's the one that said it was hard taking him seriously because he was such a big teddy bear offset, and they had problems with him, which is different than the way Ted White acted. And we'll get to Ted White in just a minute. But I don't know. I just love CJ. What do you have against CJ? Because you have him at 4.
I got nothing against CJ. I just really like Derek Mears a lot. I really like Richard Brooker a lot. And then obviously our number one. I would say my top 4 are the ones are my favorite Jasons, hands down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no wrong answer in any of this. I mean, if you like Tom Morgan the best, you like Tom Morgan the best. Most people like Kane Hodder the best. I would go back to this comment real fast. The guy that filled in for Dan Bradley, yeah, he was originally cast as Jason, and then after dailies, they thought he was too thick, if you know what I mean. It's better to be, what do they say in the paintball scene? It's better to be an ass than all ass, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You're always thinking of your stomach. Ted White is the best. CJ is in the best movie. He is in the best movie. Let's go. I need to rewatch Jason Crystal Lake. Have you ever seen that? I think you have seen that, haven't you? Crystal Lake Memories?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. It's nestled right in there with my collection. So
yeah, no, same here. I got it on Blu-ray. I've watched it a couple times actually.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah, dude. That and Never Sleep Again. We need a fucking Halloween documentary just like those. And the Chucky one that came out last year, except where they skipped the last one, which is okay. That one's on Shudder, I think. But yeah, I love CJ, and that's. I have the book. I have the book too. Actually, every time I go to a convention and there's a Friday the 13th person, I have them sign my book like it's a yearbook. I've got Tom Savini, Larry Zerner, 4 Jasons. Unfortunately, I can't get Ted White's now. He had to go off and die, but he was like 90 something. So, but yeah, I got it's pretty cool. I if you go to our YouTube channel, which everybody's subscribed, right? Hold on. Let me fix this. You're subscribed, right?
Of course,
Right?
Of course they are.
But everybody that I've seen has signed the book, and every time I see somebody, I have them. The first one was Larry Zerner, actually, and then Adrian King signed it second because they were right next to each other. And for some reason, I was more compelled to meet Larry Zerner than Adrian King, even though she was. Talk about that's one thing I got to say about these Friday the 13th actors, all of them that I've met so far, which it's been probably 10 or 11 of them have been extremely lovely people, with the exception of fucking Warrington Gillette. What a prick. I'm never going to get past that. And the other thing is, so Steve Dash signed my book. If you go to the Horror Syndicate's YouTube channel, there's a video, my horror room. You'll see the signatures in the book in that video. Go check that video out. But you'll see that Steve Dash signed the book regular, but he calls himself the real Jason Part 2. Fucking Warrington Gillette he looked through my book, found where Steve Dash signed, and made his bigger. It's like, what a dick. You know, like, come on, grow up. Hey, it's time to rewatch the Friday the 13th franchise. If the weather's getting nice, it's time, it's almost summertime. We got to go to summer camp. Let's go back to camp and watch the Friday the 13th. I'm down.
Yep.
Yeah, the 25th anniversary one is okay. They spent a lot of time at the convention too, like that girl who got the walk-on role for the next Halloween, which I think ended up being Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if she even got in. Heather something or other, where she showed her boobs. That's why she got the job. That one's okay, but that's also outdated because we've had 5 Halloween movies since that.
Well, so, like the thing with that one too is like they talked quite a bit about the first one, but like they kind of like really skimmed through all the sequels.
Oh yeah, it's
like I would love if the guys that made Crystal Lake Memories and Never Sleep Again did a Halloween.
Please.
I was hoping that was going to happen after Ends.
Well, the thing is, like, if you're worried about getting funded, crowdfund that shit. It'll fund overnight. I mean, look at those documentaries for the 80s movies. What are they called? In Search of Darkness? You've heard of those, right?
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, I mean, those are really long documentaries, but like those fund like crazy on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. If somebody wanted to make a Halloween documentary just like the Crystal Lake Memories, and it could be called The Night He Came Home or something like that, the documentary,
There you go.
Yeah. And do it just, I mean, because we're losing people. Donald Pleasance isn't here. John Carpenter is, I mean, he looks terrible. He's old.
Don't.
I'm not saying anything.
We're not going there.
He's old. And congratulations to John Carpenter for getting his star or whatever it is. But do it before these people are gone, especially Deborah Hill's gone. There's a lot of the people from
is gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. He passed away after Kills, didn't he? Yeah, so we're losing people. It was shit. Let's think about this. 47 years ago, John Carpenter's Halloween came out. That's a long time ago. Jamie Lee Curtis is still kicking and doing great and everything like that. But, PJ Souls is still around. A lot of these people are still around. Get them while you can. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, who out there would love a documentary like that? I'll ask the Horror Syndicate followers after the show what they think. And I wish there was somebody I could tag, like, make this movie, crowdfund it for God's sakes. And that's one thing about the horror community. We love a good documentary. We love a good documentary.
Well, the thing is like those two, Crystal Lake Memories and Never Sleep Again. They're just.
I'm looking at you, by the way. My thing's over here. It's not where the camera is.
Yeah, no, that's fine. They're so compelling to watch. Like I'll put them in and I'll just get hooked and I'll watch like the whole freaking thing, all hours. Like I think those are really well put together documentaries, and it's nice to hear more in depth detail about the sequels because typically, like the way it's been before, is everyone talks about like the first in every series, and you don't really hear much about a lot of the sequels.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's why I would love, especially now that there's 13 Halloween films, the last trilogy came to an end. Uh, Now's a good time
Now's
to
the
do it.
best time. And I don't want to jinx anything, but we have this deep affection for Halloween 3. Tom Atkins will be 90 this year. Come on, you know.
Yeah,
Although I don't know if you have the Scream Factory copies of the Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, right? On
yeah,
Blu-ray.
yep,
They have two that both of them have a documentary on them. They're separate, but they're really well done. If you haven't watched them before, I like both of those. About
yep,
35 minutes long ish.
yep.
One thing I think about is we got 12 movies of the Friday the 13th, and it's a 7 hour documentary. Or it's 13 movies with Halloween. Are we going to get an 8 hour documentary?
Maybe.
I'm in.
Yep.
So I don't feel like that's a waste at all. Jordan, it's been a while, man. I'm glad to see you on here. I would prefer more details on every Halloween sequel over the original. No, yeah, it's exactly what we're saying. Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, at this point, and it's got to be in the documentary anyway. But at this point, we're gonna get a good hour and a half about the original film. But give me 30 minutes on each movie, at least. At least 30 minutes, 30 to 45
Mhm.
minutes, something like that. But there's the Chucky documentary. It's pretty decent. Did you ever get to watch that on Shutter?
Yeah, actually, I did. I really enjoyed it, especially when they were talking about the first film.
Yeah.
Because Tom Holland 1.0, I could listen, I could listen to all day. Like,
Oh yeah.
I think he's fascinating.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed by it. Like, as they started getting into some of the sequels, there wasn't really much.
No, they started talking less and less. It seemed like as each one went, which
Yeah.
is whatever. But I'm glad they made that. It further pushed the need for the Halloween version. It's like, why haven't they come together to do this yet?
Yeah.
Halloween has to be the biggest. It has to be the biggest horror franchise out of all of them,
Mm.
if not Friday the 13th. One of the two. Uh, but yeah. Anyway, back to what we were talking about before our tangent on documentaries. The Pet Cemetery documentary is also really good. If nobody's seen that. Number one is Ted White from Friday the 13th, the final chapter, one of the two best Friday the 13th movies. And I'm saying that not just because of our little fun rivalry. Oh, six is better. Oh no, the final chapter is better. It is. I mean, without a doubt, the two best Friday the 13th movies are Final Chapter and Jason Lives.
Hmm.
And Ted White took what Richard Brooker, you know, like Richard Brooker kind of walked so Ted White could run, literally, in this movie. And Ted White did take off. And I mentioned how I thought CJ was very imposing and terrifying. Fucking Ted White. Imagine Ted White running after you in the pouring rain when it's freezing rain, also in that fucking costume. And Ted White was not CJ Graham because he stayed away from the cast. He didn't interact with the cast at all. And that's more terrifying than, like, you know what I mean? Like, so he may have been the perfect Jason.
Although he did intervene on one of their behalf.
Yeah, on Judy Aronson in the yeah,
Yeah.
he's also a great guy.
Yeah.
Sean Clark from Howard's Hollow Ground was a dear friend. That was a dear friend of his, was Ted White, and he tells great stories of how awesome of a person Ted White was.
Yep.
But Ted White's your favorite.
Yes, absolutely. Just the body language alone. This is the most, I think, intimidating Jason. And you picked a great image here because I love this scene in particular. but he's a very. I think this is very brutal and aggressive, Jason. Um, Way more so than the two before it, and even some of the ones after it. I love Jason in this film, and Ted White's performance is with his body language. I think is what is the big thing for me because he's just like the one Jason that scares me the most. I think.
Yeah. Partially, I think. I mean, well, like I said, C.J. Graham. C.J. Graham was also my first Jason, but Ted White is a human being at this point. He's
Yeah,
not a fucking monster. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like they in Jason Lives, he came from a grave. This is a guy just wandering the woods, killing people. You know, he's a fucking human being. That's terrifying.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, looking at your list, I was like, of course, Ted White's at the top, and I'm like, I feel like if there's a prototypical Jason, if there is one Jason to study, if you're going to play Jason, it's Ted White. Period.
Absolutely, like 100%, and like it just so happens that he's in my favorite Friday the 13th film. But I mean, even if my favorite film was Jason Takes Manhattan, Ted White would still be my number one Jason because of his portrayal, and I think that's what I took the most liking to with like Derek Mears is because he reminded me of Ted White.
Yep,
Yeah,
I agree with you 100% on that. Yeah, and I mean, he set the bar
mm,
for every following Jason, and as much again as much as I love CJ and I put CJ at one, no one has reached that bar yet.
yeah,
CJ was good. Mears was trying to be, not maybe not trying to be, but he was close. But yeah, nobody has reached the levels that Ted White is. And while I picked my favorites, but I do think in many ways Ted White is the best. And like I said, the if you're going to study playing Jason Voorhees, this is the guy right here.
yeah.
Unless you're making a fan film based on Jason from Part Six, CJ Graham Jason, and it's Never Hike Alone, then you just model him after CJ Graham, I guess, right? Because that's what Vince did. Anyway. Anyways, anybody have any questions about our list? I will post a Facebook reel, and we have a TikTok now. I opened up a TikTok the other day.
What's a TikTok?
What's a TikTok? What's funny is I had to ask a 20-year-old at work today. I'm like, what should I do with the TikTok? Like, what should I do? And it made me feel super old. I'm only 44,
Mm,
but we have a TikTok. I think it's the horror or the.horror.syndicate on TikTok. So if you follow TikTok, go follow us. We just started it the other day. 2 videos up, yay! And I'll post this up there as well. And some other stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to TikTok. I'm just trying to get more people to come watch our videos and shit. Uh, I need a Tic Tac. How can you tell?
he's here with his dad jokes.
There you go. Are you doing Werewolf Wednesday tomorrow?
Yes, I should be able to. Had a family emergency last week, so I had to cancel. But uh, my plan is to double up for 2 weeks in a row. So this week I will finally be getting to Beast of Bray Road and was it Blood Moon? And then the week after that, I'll double up with the next two that I had on my list. But last week I had to cancel because of a situation. That's all I'll say.
I know Sean's chomping at the bit to talk about those movies.
Oh yeah, especially Beast of Bray Road.
So we just got a comment. I'm not going to comment back, but I'm going to show something. Give me 1 second. I got to upload it real fast. There's another me. This is for our troll. All right. So, did I see Lincoln get shot? No, but I stood up to him. I didn't let him talk shit to me. I think that's accurate. He was like 6'4". I'm about 5'8", 5'9", somewhere around there. So, yeah, let's go. You got jokes, so do I. I actually have a really good sense of humor. I just don't like smartasses, except for Seth.
I was gonna say.
If you're on TikTok, please follow us. We need to talk Werewolf, the TV show from 1987.
Yes, I'm actually doing that at the end of May. I'm gonna talk about the TV show and I'm gonna rank every episode.
And just for the record, that's all Seth. I don't care about werewolves. Even though I've seen 50 werewolf movies.
You gotta
And I stepped up to Lincoln.
you gotta do more, buddy. I'm at like
I don't want to.
134. I'm at 134.
I don't know if I can. Honestly, ugh. There's no way I'm going to get up to, what would you say, 134?
Yeah.
There's no way. I got to delete some stuff off here. Where's your werewolf opening? Is it gone? Oh, there it is. There you go. Always forget about her at the end. I always like watching that because for some reason that's like my favorite opening I've cut together for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Because it's werewolves.
No, I think it's because of Sturba or whatever her name is at the end. I couldn't add the nude scenes and I couldn't play the Howling 2, the theme song.
Yeah, from Babel. I'm gonna listen
from
to
Babel.
that. I'm gonna listen to that when we're done.
I'm now watching Amityville Moon.
Yes, you
You
are.
are wrong, sir.
Yes, you are.
I like the Western Werewolf one.
Blood Moon. Yep.
And Blood Moon. And he says he's watched 50 since you started the show.
It's good.
I do think they should make more Howling movies. I don't know why they haven't. That's weird.
They need to hire some youngish writer from Vermont named Seth.
I don't know who that is.
Apparently-
Anyway, let's go back through our list and then we'll call it a night. And Seth will be back tomorrow. So for anybody who joined late, we ranked 10 Jasons. We left off like Dan Bradley or whatever, and Dick Warlock and some of the kid Jasons. We only have one kid Jason, and it's Ari from the first movie at number 10. Ken Kurtzinger at number 9. Number 8 is the asshole Warrington Gillette. I should just put him at number 10 just because he's a douchebag. Not worth seeing at a convention. Number 7 is Steve Dash. Number 6 is Tom Morga. And I think he did a fine job playing. What did you say? He's the dude playing a dude, pretending to be another dude or something like that?
Yeah.
Number 5 is Kane Hodder and all his different takes on Jason. And then coming in at number 4 is I got to be honest, it was tough putting him at 4, but Derek Mears, because I really like him as Jason. It's just there's a couple guys that are a little bit better than him, and he learned from them anyway. If you will, like Richard Brooker at number 3, C.J. Graham at number 2, and Ted White is our number 1 as we ranked all the actors. Well, not all, ranking the actors who play Jason Voorhees.
Can you put up Warrington one more time?
Huh? Oh,
Can you put Warrington?
You didn't want to see me standing up to Lincoln.
An asshole. An asshole.
Yes.
An
Perfection.
An asshole.
Yeah, that's
An
what I
asshole. An asshole. An asshole. An asshole. An asshole. An
Yeah, how many,
asshole.
you got to hit it
An
again to turn it
asshole.
off.
An asshole.
Oh,
An
yeah.
asshole.
Okay, I didn't know
An
that.
asshole. An
Otherwise, it
asshole.
just keeps going.
An asshole.
I was like, how many times did I hit it?
Yeah, no, it's on a loop. It's like there's another thing that I have. There's where is it?
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you? You'll never come back again. It's got a death curse. You're going to Camp Blood.
Then it just plays over and over.
You're going to love this one. It's a scream, baby.
Yeah, I like originally I wanted to have a bunch of sound bites to play, but I always forget they're there. And there's not many. There's only 3 of them that we actually have on here. I could probably get more if we needed them. But anyway, not sure where we're gonna be next week as far as what show we're gonna be doing. So make sure you subscribe anyway. I don't know if we're gonna do a Discourse show. If you missed last week's, which was 2 nights ago, we talked about Seth and Nate talked about video store memories and VHS memories and stuff like that. I missed the show because we had to take shelter because a tornado touched down near me. I was gone for almost an hour too in the basement, just sitting in the basement. But there should be a show next Tuesday on something. We'll figure it out. We still owe you the top 25 of the 1980s. We'll do that soon, hopefully. And a lot of other stuff. But we weren't sure if we were doing a show tonight, and Steph's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, Bride of Frankenstein just turned 80 or 90 or whatever it was. And you're like, yeah, we'll talk about those 3 movies. And you came up with a better idea. I'm like, yes, let's talk about Jason.
Yeah, I was like, hey, wait a minute, I'm wearing a Friday.
Oh, you're wearing that anyway?
Yeah, I was wearing this at work, and I was.
So let me ask you this: dare we rank the Halloween Michael Myers actors?
We should.
Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 7 of them, I think, if you don't count the kids. 7 or 8 of them, because we got 2 guys that played him more than once. George Wilbur and what's his name?
Tyler Mane.
Well, not Tyler Mane, yeah, but Tyler Mane and the guy James Jude Courtney.
Yep.
Yeah. So we could always do that at some point. We've never done that. I don't think we've only done movies when it comes to Halloween. Like we've never ranked anything else. Like we should rank the masks. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we could. That'd be yeah.
Hey, Horror Gang, hit the subscribe button on them. He's been on the show before. Actually, he should be on again soon. We should have him on. Jackson, he's written some articles for the horrorsyndicate.com, but he's really kind of an old soul for somebody so young. He's like in his early 20s, and he really loves old horror. We're talking 30s, 40s, 50s horror movies, which is really cool. I find that really cool, actually. I know I've said really cool a lot, but you don't find young people. There's a girl I worked with who I talked to about the TikTok. She's got a TikTok, and she's like, "Oh, check out my TikTok." And I looked at it, and the music she's into is surprising because it's all older music. It's like, I have more respect for you now because I know that you're not just one of these vapid 20-year-olds. Anyway, and Jackson is not that. So plus Nate, he's got Nate's seal of approvals. That goes a long way. But yeah, check out the Horror Gang on YouTube. Subscribe to their channel, and hopefully we'll have Jackson on again one of our shows at some point. I'm trying to get Ron to come on one of our shows, Seth. Retro Ron or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know how I'm going to get him to come on the show because he's kind of like you were before. Oh, I don't know about podcasting. Yeah, once you start doing it, it becomes addicting. So
yeah, I mean, I was like extremely shy at first, and
I know.
Eventually,
look at you now. You're doing your own show by yourself.
Yeah.
And you're getting better and better too. Like I'll never forget your first Facebook videos, and you were like, I could tell you were timid and kind of nervous about doing the live streams or whatever. But from that point to now, it's like a different person. So, but I was the same way too. When I started podcasting, I like, especially when I started hosting and I had to be the first one to talk, it was so nerve wracking. Because I'm like, what am I gonna say? Am I gonna fuck shit up? And now I'm the worst host anyway. People don't like me. I'm like that one dude's 7th favorite YouTuber. I you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We ginger snaps where the guy changes werewolves out of their pee hole wearing a Scream costume that's red or brown. Good, yes, Jackson's a good dude. Check him out, and thank you for everybody who subscribes to us as we slowly but surely get to hopefully 2,000 subscribers at some point. Seth, we just passed 69,000 followers on Facebook, though.
Nice.
That's something. Anyway, hopefully I'll be back in the horror room next week. Seth, anything you want to say to the fine viewers at home before we go?
37 in a row? Don't go sucking any dick on the way to the parking lot. I don't know. I felt like quoting that for some reason.
I like that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And check out Werewolf Wednesday just about every Wednesday.
Just about.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to take a night off,
Yep.
And then Horse and Naked Discourse usually on Sundays whenever we can. Nate's been in plays and shit, and sometimes I have tornado warning. It's been a weird weather season this year here in the Midwest. So, and then of course the Horror Syndicate Horror Movie Massacre, which I neglected to say the title of this show today, but that's the show you're watching, and it's the show you come for. Come on, let's admit it. Anyway, everybody have a great night. We'll see you very soon in another video. Right?